Society of Friends of Epicurus, a philosophical community. The Society of Friends of Epicurus is dedicated to the teaching mission of the Epicurean Gardens, philosophical communities established by the ancient Greek philosopher and sage Epicurus. From humble beginnings on the island of Samos, he would go on to develop a philosophy that would inspire millions over many centuries. The work of his school carries significance even for our modern world, because it addresses some of life's most central questions. Epicurus advocated a naturalistic worldview whereby the universe is subject to the laws of physics without divine intervention. He taught that the world can be understood through an approach to knowledge that was evidence-based, and that pleasure, pursued intelligently and ethically with a community of supportive friends, is the goal of life. Our society was established on the 16th of February of 2013, with the hope of functioning as a space that would allow for the natural evolution of a koinonia, or community, of Epicurean friends. The dual focus of the society is on education and friendship, so that we may have knowledgeable and happy friends to practice melita with others of a like mind, as Epicurus advises in his letter to Menocius. By melita, we mean any form of deliberation or practice of philosophy. While we look towards scholarship for inspiration and discussion, we are primarily a non-academic fraternity of practitioners of Epicurean philosophy. For us, the goal of philosophy is not an intellectual discussion for its own sake, but a way of life. Wrapped jointly with the goals of friendship and education is the auxiliary goal of moral development, or to grow in one's own personal ethical views and practice. So the process of doing melita yields a finished product in the form of a practitioner who has fully integrated the teachings in order to make their life more pleasant. This does not always come easily, and so one component of the role of friends is to provide counsel to one another at times, and to give parrhesia, or frank criticism as needed. The dual goals of education and friendship are not ends in themselves, but are subservient to the larger goal of sculpting a pleasant life. Our mission is to revive the ancient tradition that was founded by Epicurus, Metrodorus, Palaeonus, and Hermarchus, while adapting it to the 21st century. The Epicurean writings from that period that survive, most notably those of Epicurus, Lucretius, Philodemus, and Diogenes of Inoanda, as well as other ancient sources, inspire our values. We try to strike the right balance between faithfulness to tradition and creativity and innovation. We acknowledge that our knowledge of the ancient tradition is limited by our extant textual sources. That being the current state of things, our intent is to reconstitute and reinterpret the ancient tradition to the extent that it is possible, and to promote it to the modern world, firmly convinced that Epicurean philosophy is as relevant to life now as it was in the ancient past. Our organization's website hosts many resources for aspiring Epicureans, such as a full self-paced curriculum of study of Epicurean texts, as well as logs of prior philosophical discussions, monthly greeting messages, shareable pamphlets, book reviews, links to additional sources, and much more. The creation of the Society webpage was followed by the publication of the book Tending the Epicurean Garden by the founder, Hiram Crespo, who has continued to create content and to publish and translate books. He has been featured in various English and Spanish language interviews and podcasts. He also wrote an epitome and republished the then out-of-print 19th century philosophical novel by Francis Wright, A Few Days in Athens, to promote the universality and cosmopolitanism of Epicurean philosophy. He translated both of these works into Spanish. From the onset, members of our koinonia have managed blogs, online forums, and social media platforms, in English and Spanish, as spaces dedicated to friendly discussions of Epicureanism. Our friend Alex has also given interviews and lectures on Epicurean philosophy, and has represented the philosophy at humanist conferences. Our friend Nathan authored a comical reinvention of the letter to Menocius for the Dudists. He has also assembled an exhaustive compilation of English language translations of the 40 principal doctrines. Our members often meet to study together or discuss our shared philosophical projects. Most of the Society's members are from the United States and Europe, but we are international and interested in expanding to more countries. We also publish short educational videos for our YouTube channel, with commentaries on the Epicurean doctrines, as well as cultural and historical lessons. Historically, the philosophy of Epicurus, while not expected to be understood by everyone, was not intended just for a small group of insiders. According to Philodemus, he invites these very people to join in a feast, just as he invites others, all those who are members of his household, and he asks them to exclude none of the outsiders, who are well disposed both to him and to his friends. In doing this, they will not be engaged in gathering the masses, something which is a form of meaningless demagogy, and unworthy of the natural philosopher, rather in practicing what is congenial to their nature. They will remember all those who are well disposed to us, that they can join on their blessed day in making the sacred offerings. The Garden of Epicurus Facebook group, in particular, is a space where those who are curious about our philosophy can come learn about and discuss diverse subjects within a friendly environment. Our forum also facilitates a monthly ICUS, virtual gatherings inspired by the ancient celebration in memory of Epicurus and Metrodorus on the 20th of every month. Our ICUS is a 2-hour program, which includes a toast in memory of Epicurus and Metrodorus, and an educational component or discussion facilitated by a member of the Koinonia. The subjects we have discussed during the 20th range from books, passages, history, mythology, science fiction, relationships, moral development, and many other topics. We believe that the celebration of the 20th, together with the proliferation of educational content among the friends, is key to the continuity of Epicurean philosophy as a living tradition. Unfortunately, our Koinonia suffered the loss of a member, Professor Jesus Guevara from Venezuela, who died in a biking accident in April. He had become a regular at our ICUS gatherings via Zoom and had been instrumental in revitalizing our Spanish-language webpage by volunteering translations of many essays. He had also been very vocal about his love of Epicurus and had been sharing Epicurean philosophy with his students and peers. After his death, as an act of solidarity and kindness, one of his devoted students demonstrated his love by engraving in the fresh cement of his tombstone the Latin words non fui, fui, non sum, non curo, which translates into I was not, I was, I am not, I care not. He did this after learning of the practice from members of our Koinonia. As far as we know, this is the first time that the Epicurean funerary practices of the ancient Romans have been revived in modern times. One of our most recent projects was the development of a foundational study curriculum, an official set of commentaries and traditions meant to be studied with friends in order to gain expertise on Epicurus's principal doctrines. Through this program, we initiate our friends into the practice of philosophy as a friendly conversation with others of like mind. As Epicurus instructs in his letter to Menocius, the principal doctrines curriculum symbolizes the living, ongoing conversation between modern Epicurean practitioners and the ancient sages of our tradition. Since it contains not only essential quotations from the canonical texts, but also the commentaries, interpretations, and innovations which are the product of extensive deliberations by the members of the Society. You may find us at societyofepicurus.com. If you would like to support our work, you may subscribe to our Patreon or buy items from our shop. We invite you to join our online discussion at the Garden of Epicurus Facebook group and participate in our monthly ICUS gatherings. But most importantly, you may show moral support by sharing the pleasure of Epicurean philosophy with your friends.